Chicano Ideas YouTube channel. I am Rudy Tecolo. Look my Facebook up, famouswolf.24. I just give my thoughts and ideas about growing up Chicano, being Chicano, my point of view, just sharing stuff that I learned of culture, history, and my opinion on how I feel. But on this video, growing up Chicano, me being like more Americanized and not speaking Spanish, not being Catholic, not having, my parents are not from Mexico, my grandparents are not from Mexico, and not being so, Latino and typical Hispanic. I've always grew up, dealing with, Mexicans and or other Chicanos, especially though Mexicans straight from Mexico, being called, gringo or whitewashed, or being called a white boy, or, being told that I was not Mexican or not Chicano or not brown enough, that I don't speak Spanish. My family's not from Mexico no more. I'm just a white boy now. I'm just an American. And that always had an effect on me. I wasn't sure of I never was enough, that understanding, of who am I and what's culture, what's identity. I never was taught that truly to the point of where I could break it down like I can now. Like I was always taught that I was Chicano, but I never knew the true details of what it was. Just, maybe a Mexican American, but, we're not Latino and not Hispanic. My family always, inbred that, we're not Latino. No, that's more like Puerto Rican or something. Dominicans is what my uncles would say. Older uncles, like 60 and stuff, straight older than me. That's how old they are now. But growing up, when I was a kid, they were like 30 and stuff. And, they always would say, too, we're not Hispanic. That's like short for spick, and that's a real racist term, Hispanic. And so for me, growing up, having to deal with not speaking Spanish, I've got into it with other Mexican kids saying that, you know, calling me names, like I've said. And yeah, I retaliated because my feelings get hurt. And so I call other Mexicans paisas out of being mean. But I don't always say it. Just depends on how you say paisa. Sometimes you could say it and it means, it's a mean way of saying it. Or there's just an explaining, like, that food's a paisa, like, just meaning he's just some food from Mexico. Or you're trying to be mean with it, like, you damn paisa, you're just a border brother or a wetback. And that's how I used to fight with kids. They would call me names and I would call them names like that, because it's all about, who could hurt who first. With, are your feelings going to get hurt or are my feelings going to get hurt? But it would always lead into, I've been into plenty of fist fights. Like one of the last ones I can remember, when I was 12 years old, I was at a buddy's house. He was a white boy too, and his friend that lived in his apartment was a Mexican, and he was saying that I wasn't Mexican, I don't speak Spanish, or I'm not even Chicano. And, I got mad, and so I started fighting with him. I started taking off on him. He was, telling me I was a white boy, and I've had to deal with that stuff growing up. And if I never really started it was always me being told by Mexicans that I was never Mexican enough. So, I'm getting my feelings hurt. I want to hurt your feelings. And so, I remember one time I was in elementary school and they took me out of my class and I had to take a test, and it's a test for people who are learning English as their second language. And I was like, hey, and I was realizing this, and I was like, raised my hand, and I was like, excuse me, like, I don't think this test is for me. I don't speak Spanish. And so the teacher was telling me, like, it's okay, like, take the test, like, you do. They thought that I was lying, that I was saying that I wasn't speaking Spanish. They had like this African lady, she sat down next to me, she's like, it's okay, you don't gotta be embarrassed that you speak Spanish. She's like, English is not my first language too, I'm learning it, and I'm saying, like, I don't speak Spanish, I'm not lying. And like this other kid, he knew me a little bit, and he's like, yeah, he don't speak Spanish, like. So they were tripping out, like, like I don't speak Spanish. Like they were trying to speak Spanish to me too. I think some lady, and I didn't know what she was saying, and so they went and looked on my paperwork, and I don't think it. I don't know. I don't think it said that I spoke Spanish, because that happened to me a couple of times. But on this time, I just remember it got like, they're like, we're going to the office. They looked at my paperwork. They couldn't tell. It said that I didn't. So they called my mom, and my mom was like, no, we don't speak Spanish. It was a whole thing. And so they said, okay, like, I didn't have to take the test. They thought that I was lying, that I was embarrassed to speak Spanish. And I've gotten that many of times of Mexicans telling me like, "Oh, you don't got to be embarrassed to speak Spanish." I'm like, "Bro, I don't speak Spanish. Like, why would I be embarrassed? I don't need to lie about it." And it's happened to me in school before. Just teachers pulling me aside, thinking that I speak Spanish, and thinking that my paperwork before was wrong, that it said that I didn't speak Spanish, or or just like I remember getting in trouble at school more in middle school and high school, and with other Chicanos, and they would speak to me in Spanish, like telling me, that possibly to keep my mouth shut, or they didn't. I don't know. I kind of understood a little bit more then, but the principal was like, what did he say? I was like, I don't know, I don't speak Spanish. And he thought I was lying. Then my mom comes, no, we don't speak Spanish. So, I always had to deal with not being able to speak Spanish and being looked down and frowned upon. Going to like, these Mexican stores, and I can't speak Spanish. I can't, you know, I say carne asada, or I say something more, these Spanish words real white, I guess, also if I'm asking for something. So for me, yes, I've had confrontations a lot growing up, and called other Mexicans wetback. They call me white boy or gringo, or you know sell out, whitewash, and it hurt my feelings. So I'm trying to hurt your feelings, but obviously now I understand cultural and history, and that speaking English or speaking Spanish, they both come from Europe, and you are neither more Mexican, and I'm neither more better because I'm from America. Because a lot of Chicanos can be like that. We're U.S. citizens, so a lot of Chicanos feel like they're better than the Mexicanos. They're just wetbacks, and Mexicanos, feel like they're just gringos, whitewashed. We're the really Mexican, but yet we're all colonized. We're all misunderstanding who we are. We got a bunch of labels of Hispanic, Latino, and all these different type of words and identities and misunderstandings of being put upon us, and a lot of our people not really truly understanding the concept, or wanting to put in the work to get the concept out there of who we are and what we are about. Speaking Spanish, speaking English, they're both from Europe. So, like I've said before, like these older Mexicans that refuse to learn English, that's been here. I'm pretty sure some of you guys got uncles or grandparents like that. I'm not gonna learn English. I'm not gonna learn a gringo language. Like, you already speak Spanish. Technically, that's a white language. It comes from Europe. We should both be learning Nawa. We should come into the middle ground. You don't want to learn English. I don't really speak Spanish. We should learn Nawa and come together, and then, bring something that is what truly is our people, just because Nawa is the biggest language available to learn. And, so for me, I am a proud Chicano. I'm not caring to be American. We were here before America. I don't need to thank no American European system on giving us freedom, because, they colonized us. So, how are we free under their system and under their way of belief? This is their culture. This is their identity. That flag was made for them. This system, the Constitution, everything was made for them. And we were just bred to follow along and accept and be thankful that they came over here and took our land. They didn't really bring nothing for us. We were way smarter than them. We had, way more intelligence of building pyramids. And what did they build in Europe and the Caucasus Mountains? Nothing really. So for me, that's just a little rundown of, how I grew up and how I had to deal with being Chicano. So, that is it. We all are all the same people. we're all the same. And, if you want to be Latino or Hispanic, then go ahead. But at least I always say, don't be a sellout, though. Don't be a coon. If you want to be, we're Latino and Hispanic, if that's what you want to carry upon yourself, but at least don't be a sellout to it. Don't be, all Uncle Tom or a Tío Thomas, a Tío Juanito, a Tío Taco. So, you know what, Chicanos, that's just what I wanted to share. Tell me what it was like for you growing up as a Chicano in any state or anywhere you're from, if you had to deal with this. Because in NorCal, there's a lot more Chicanos that don't speak English than in Southern California or maybe Texas, New Mexico, or Arizona. But it's out there, and it's a misunderstanding of, oh, you're how, you don't speak Spanish, you're not Mexican at all, you speak just a white language. Well, Spanish, remember, is a European language. So peace out, Chicanos. Leave your comments, push a like for me, and go check out my other videos if you haven't. Remember that. Peace.